Hey everyone, it's Nick with Us versus Her. Today we're going to go over some charts. We're going to talk about the Fed. We're going to talk about SPY, Q, some earnings. If you haven't yet joined our community, links are below in the description to our Discord and our options trading group on Facebook. And if you do me a big favor, hit the like button. I definitely appreciate it. Now, today, Fed minutes came out and they showed that Fed potentially wants to taper this year, and the markets kind of got spooked. As you can see, Q's dropped a bunch. I mean, Dow's down 400, NASDAQ was down 150, and S&P's down 55. I mean, it was just like right at close. I mean, it was a pretty flat day for the most part, as you can see, but then right at close, I mean, we just, for the whole hour, just kind of started to come down, especially in the last, 15, 30 minutes of market close. Just They gave the hammer. So, my personal opinion is I do think that they should taper, mainly because, I mean, if you look at the total assets by the Federal Reserve, I mean, obviously we had the pandemic, obviously we had the stimulus, we had a lot of different things happened in 2020 which made this, balloon up. But they are continually just buying, and there seems to be no end. Eventually, it has to end. We did back in 2012, we ballooned up here, but then, it was relatively flat 2015 through 2018. They started to taper again. They actually started to reduce the balance sheet in 2018, which caused a lot of market volatility. Also, at the end of 2018, we had the China trade war, all this, and then 2018, the market closed red the first time in X amount of years. I don't even remember how many years, but Fed was tapering, reducing the balance sheet, China trade war at the end of 2018, and now here we are. Started a pandemic. We started at $4 trillion. Now we're basically at $8 trillion, above $8 trillion that the Federal Reserve has in total assets as of, and this is August 9th. This is not even current. It's a little bit late. So we got I don't even know, but it's above 8 trillion, right? So I mean, I'm in agreement, but the way they have to do it, they have to be careful, because if they're not careful, potentially crash the market. Now, looking at different levels here, let's look at SPY, right? So SPY broke below the 10-day moving average, and when that's been happening the last 6 times, 7 times, it's been visiting the 50-day moving average. 50-day moving average right now is 433. So potentially, SPY could come down to another 6 points. It is down after hours a little bit here, but looking forward to visit here. If it bounces here like it has every single time in 2021, it's bounced every time it's hit the 50-day moving average. As you can see here, starting in February, bounced back in March, bounced. March bounce again. Then we had May bounce. We had June, July, and now potentially we're going to have an August. I don't know if it's going to be a bounce or not, but potentially it's looking like it's going to revisit this area down here. Q's hasn't actually touched the 50-day moving average since June, and has been climbing up, and currently at, the 50-day moving average here is 358. So, I mean, we've all been kind of getting a little, not say worried, but a little bit concerned that, hey, are we stopped out here, or is there more room in the tank, especially like on NASDAQ? Like, it seems like 369, we just couldn't get above it. We tapped it quite a few times. We tapped it here back in July. We were tapping it in August a couple times, and we just couldn't break this threshold, and now we're heading a little bit lower. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, I don't think, the way the Fed's going to do things, I'm not saying we're going to have like a market crash or something crazy. I mean, anything could happen. But right now, even if it comes down to the 50-day moving average, I mean, the trend is still intact. A lot of things could happen. Now, the Russell hasn't gone anywhere since, I mean, it did open 2021 at around 196, so let's just call it 200. And it's been mostly sideways after it's climbed up to the 230 area, and it's just been kind of struggling. Sorry if I sound a little bit weird. I've been having a cough, some lung issues. I'm trying to. It's tough. Now, what's interesting on the Russell here, we're moving sideways. 200-day moving average is my purple line here. 200-day moving average. It dipped down close back in July. Now we're here again in August. I mean, are we gonna flush through or not? I mean, this is gonna be very telling. Very telling. There were a few earnings that had stocks that had earnings. I mean, Robinhood, they did really well in the crypto space. Everything else not so good. They did say they're going to have weaker revenues in Q3, and not looking great. Nvidia, I mean, I don't know where Robinhood is going to go. I mean, I'm guessing it's going to go to lower 40s. It's already mid 40s right now. But Nvidia also had earnings. Nvidia closed at 190, currently at 193, relatively flat, on the week right now. I mean, it did come down from 202. I was shorting it earlier in the week and it just wasn't moving anywhere. But now, it dipped down to 185. Even though they had strong revenues, they did beat. Gaming came in strong. I mean, they're relatively flat, not going anywhere. So, and then you have stocks like, Lowe's. Lowe's, they beat. They pushed up, but, I mean, are they going to come back down? I mean, they haven't really been doing that good. Home Depot, I mean, they had earnings too, and they came down to the 50-day moving average. Wide swing here today, but, again, decimated off of earnings. I mean, this is kind of been the theme where some companies have been doing well in earnings, and then their stock still goes down. I mean, I think, honestly, we're going to be in for a little of a rough ride this fall. I mean, if you look at Apple right now, Apple's holding strong, but could definitely come down to the low 140s. I mean, we broke out of here. It was in this range, like the 125, 135, and it just didn't seem it was going to come out of it. And then it did come out of it back in July, and now we're stuck here at like the 150s. I mean, it's just not going anywhere. Between 145, 150, we haven't gone anywhere almost a month now. I mean, are we going to push down before we push back up? I do know that Apple does have some, the new iPhone and some product releases coming out this fall, September, and they're probably going to have a pretty big Christmas like they do every year. But, I mean, price action right now, not going anywhere. Microsoft as well has been doing really, really, really well. And we broke out, almost hit 300, 295 area. Right in this trend line. It did not break trend line. I mean, I think I day traded Microsoft one time this week. It did pretty well. But it's like, if it doesn't hold, I mean, it could come down to 280 real quick on this. But trend is your friend. Trend is your friend. I'm not trying to short Microsoft. I'm just trying to take it a day at a time, see what the situation is. Also, Facebook, I've been enjoying trading as well. However, Facebook looked like it was going to retest 375 area. Did not. Has been coming down for a couple days. Came down from 367. Currently at 355. I mean, obviously, I think it's going to test the 50-day moving average. Question is it going to bounce like it has the last few times back in here in July and then back in May? So, I mean, I don't think there's much to be concerned about. Like, if people are like, oh yeah, that's freaking out. I mean, a lot happened in a short amount of time today, especially since we've seen almost no volatility. I mean, VXX and VIX, let's see, VXX right at close, after hours hit 29 and a half. VIX up 20%, just straight up. I mean, I think that's what scared people the most. But looking at the charts, looking at the yearly charts, not a huge deal yet. We'll see what the Fed does. We'll see what market reaction is. Trade price. Don't trade emotions. And as always, stay safe, stay green. It's us versus herd.